Dr Huck, and it's a pleasure to serve under your chairship. And I congratulate the member for Reigate for securing this important debate and the Backbench Business Committee for granting it. And I declare that I'm a humanist, and I'm a member of Humanists UK, and I believe that people have one life, and they shape it in the here and now. And as we strive for a tolerant world where rational thinking and kindness prevail, we have to stand together against all forms of discrimination. And it's in this vein that it's discriminatory that humanist weddings are still not legally recognised in England and Wales. And we've heard humanist marriages gained legal recognition in Scotland in 2005, the Republic of Ireland in 2012 and Northern Ireland in 2018, following a Court of Appeal ruling that concluded that a failure to do so would breach human rights. The popularity of humanist marriages also speaks for itself. It is the most popular form of belief-based wedding in Scotland, the second most popular in the Republic of Ireland, and the fastest growing in Northern Ireland. And we heard much from the member for Reigate as he outlined in his speech what humanist weddings are in broad terms. And I want to use my speech to focus on the experience of different couples who have had humanist weddings in order to illustrate what they are, to build greater understanding and highlight some of the injustices caused by the present law. And for this, I'm grateful to Humanists UK for providing me with examples that illustrate the range of experiences that people have. And I want to acknowledge that some of these examples come from the recently published Little Book of Humanist Weddings, of which I have a copy, and also I'm talking about them today with kind permission from the authors. I very much agree with the point raised early on with the Honourable Member's speech around ceremonies and the importance they have at significant points in our lives. But every couple is different, and so what is meaningful to them is also always unique, and that's why every humanist wedding is unique. As humanist celebrant Laura Ginson has said, I used to think we all loved in roughly the same way, but actually the specificity of love is what keeps my job as a celebrant so interesting. It's such a joy to uncover the many and varied ways that we humans show our fondness for one another. And as celebrant Zena Birch has said, the preparations that go into a humanist wedding are just as important for the couples as the wedding itself. She says, a humanist marriage does start off with a celebration and a party, just like all weddings, but the preparation that goes in beforehand enhances the intentions of the celebration and focuses both the couple and their guests on what is important and at the heart of this rite of passage. And as a point has been made, no wonder humanist marriages are so successful in producing sustained relationships. One important aspect of this is picking the right location. And to quote Zena again, with all of this forethought, something that very rarely gets chosen offhandedly is where my couples wish to hold their ceremony. Over the years, I've had the privilege to be welcomed into some extraordinary spaces, and what most of them have in common is that the locations themselves hold meaning and relevance to the couple, be it from a charmingly romantic perspective, where my couple shared their first kiss, to locations which hold an emotional poignancy, a beach where the bride had previously scattered her dad's ashes. In lieu of a place of worship, these locations hold an equal import to my couples. Then there's the question of who attends. In the words of celebrant Ewan Main, no one human being is an island. We are all as individuals connected to others, and community with others is one of the most important things in leading a happy life. What is true of us as individuals is also true of us as couples. The community that surrounds you is one of the things that sustains your relationship. Guests at a wedding, if they're really valued, trusted guests, really do care about what's happening at the front, because it's a little bit about them too. I like to comment in weddings sometimes on the fact that everyone sitting in this room together now has one thing in common that they didn't before. A marriage grows from and reflects connections, and it makes new ones too. Weddings often commence with the journey down the aisle. And as Zena Birch says, as with all traditions, it's possible to bring this one up to date by using this moment to ask whoever has accompanied the walk down the aisle, do you affirm X and X's choice to get married, as opposed to who brings this woman to wed this man? You're honouring a tradition and making it relevant all at the same time. You're also showing right from the outset that every word spoken, in this case the question posed and the answer received, has been thought through is appropriate, relevant and honest. There are no echoey, empty words for the sake of it in a humanist ceremony script. There is no reason why you can't pose this same question to all sets of parents, setting the tone right from the very start, that words matter and that equality is acknowledged. Then there is the script. As celebrant Jeanette Smith said, at the heart of a humanist wedding, ceremony is not a sermon, but a sharing of your story, the unique retelling of what drew you together, told to those who genuinely care, because you as a couple are the thing every single guest has in common. By interweaving the story of your relationship, origin and development, the highs and the lows, the moments guests themselves will recognise being part of, everyone in the gathering will be invested in the outcome. And at the heart of the script are the vows. In the words of celebrant Hester Brown, I ask couples to think, what do I really want to promise to my partner, and what would I like to be promised? Which of these are essential? And to discuss it with each other, it provides a valuable opportunity to find out whether your partner's hopes and needs are compatible with yours, and perhaps to be inspired by the potential and new horizons they open up to you. At the heart of humanism is the knowledge that we are deeply dependent on other people for our happiness, and at the same time we need to be free. The songbird comes and sings beautifully to the princess, but when she puts it in a cage, it falls silent. I think the most important thing I tell my couples is that equality and kindness are at the heart of the humanist vision of marriage, respecting the other's space to learn and grow. Two independent people choosing to spend their lives together because their love gives them courage and hope gives them a home. Not facing in on each other, but walking along life's path together hand in hand. The ceremony can contain various symbolic actions intended to bind the couple together. And this can include hand fasting, the tying together of couples' hands with ribbons or cords, with different threads symbolising different things. And the family can be involved in the untying. It could include some traditionally religious or cultural rituals that stop short of acts of worship and aren't included for religious reasons, but that nonetheless pay tribute to a certain heritage. It can also include the blending of sands. Two of the claimants in the 2020 court case were Jennifer Coleman and Finbar Graham. They're from Carrickfergus in Northern Ireland, where, as we've heard, humanist marriages are legally recognised. But they still chose to have their humanist wedding on the beach in Devon, where they first went on holiday together, and near where Jenny's parents live, because for them, it was the most meaningful location to get married. They could think of no location they would rather read than Northern Beach, and felt so strongly about the matter that they then decided to take a legal case in order to change the law in a jurisdiction they do not live to match the law in the jurisdiction in which they do reside. Unfortunately, the case did not succeed, so they had to go ahead with their wedding without legal recognition. But as part of their ceremony, they took sand from their beach in Carrickfergus and blended it with the sand from the beach in Northam, symbolically blending the two locations that were of most significance to them. It is possible to give the exchanging of rings extra significance. As Laura Gimson recounts, S&J's ceremony took place in the centre of a circle of poplar trees in the garden of their family home. Jay had managed to fell a branch from one of the trees a few months earlier and had tiny pieces of poplar wood inlaid into their wedding rings. As they exchanged them, they shared vows about how their wedding bands weren't about status, they weren't meant to be shiny and perfect, and they weren't a symbol of ownership. Instead, their rings would serve as a reminder of the exact place and time that they made the choice to live their lives side by side. So why a humanist wedding then? Laura Lacole was the claimant in the court case that led to legally recognised humanist marriages in Northern Ireland. As a result, she had the first there with her husband, Union O'Kane. She explained to the court, I am a person that acts on my beliefs and values. It is only natural then for me to seek to have those beliefs and values expressed through my marriage ceremony. My desire to have a legally valid humanist marriage is central to my own humanist identity. The act of getting married is, of course, deeply personal and is bound up with my humanist beliefs, values and aspirations. Humanists do not, in general, have weekly communal gatherings, like a church might, and so my marriage ceremony provides me with a rare communal event at which I can express and celebrate my humanism with my husband-to-be and our family and friends. And what are the problems with having at present having to have two ceremonies, as was set out earlier? In 2018, the All-Party Parliamentary Humanist Group surveyed local authority websites to see what they were offering. They also consulted humanist celebrants for their experiences. They published the results in their report, Any Lawful Impediment. The issues they identified included difficulties booking same-day ceremonies, with many local authorities charging £500 or more for the weekend ceremony. There were difficulties with same-building ceremonies, or the presence of the humanist celebrant at the legal ceremony, both of which should be allowed, but there were reports of registrars objecting to them, sometimes claiming it may invalidate the legality of the civil marriage. There were tales of registrars threatening approved premises licences over the number of humanist ceremonies being performed, and registrars more generally trying to warn couples off having humanist ceremonies. There was widespread evidence of registrars not offering cheap, no-frills ceremonies on their websites. Many restricted the times and locations at which they are available, or restricting how quickly they are available. For example, to one room in one council building, or to just Tuesday mornings once a month. A staggering 90% did not offer such ceremonies at the weekend. Many restrict what can happen at no-frills ceremonies, e.g. limiting the number of guests to just the 2 required witnesses, particularly challenging if the couple has young children, or disallowing the presence of flowers or even the exchange of rings. So part of my final comments is also about the conversations that the Minister may have had with the Secretary of State for Levelling Up Housing and Communities with regards to these actions by local authorities. But finally, it seems plain to me that the only way to really fix these problems is to change the law on humanist marriages. And I hope the Minister is convinced that that can't come soon enough.
Thank you.